Diolch llawedd. And not a single person opposite in Labour or Plaid Cymru have talked about the positives of Brexit. And it's a shame. The Minister talks about undermining democracy. I'll take no lectures from Labour about undermining democracy, because that's what your party have been doing for the last 5 years. 5 years ago today, the people of Wales and the United Kingdom, they stood up to the elites, the academics, the champagne socialists and the doomsday predictors, both in the UK and across the world. And as my Conservative colleagues have said, the people rose up against the establishment and voted to leave the European Union. And as has been said, it was the biggest democratic vote in our country's history. And Mr Rhys-Owen talks about respect. It's a shame Plaid Cymru cannot respect the will of the British and Welsh people. As we've seen, Project Fear knew no bounds because the doomsday forecasters were all around. We were told we would have no food, no medicine, no imports, no exports, and our stock markets would crash. And the people who sit in this place push that scaremongering agenda. And 5 years on, those people who predicted doom were proven wrong. Many who sat in here and across the UK spent the last 5 years trying to stop democracy and stop the will of the people of Wales and the United Kingdom who voted to leave. Thankfully, in 2019, as my colleague Darren Miller has said, the British people endorsed the Conservative Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, overwhelmingly voting Conservative for the first time right across Wales to get Brexit done. And by God, we got Brexit done. Labour talk about centralisation and a power grab. This Conservative government in Westminster want to level up the whole of Wales. And the problem is the Conservatives don't trust this Labour Welsh government to level up the whole of Wales. It'll be focused in your Labour heartlands, abandoning people and their communities for years to come. I myself campaigned to leave the European Union, along with many others on these Conservative benches and wider, who believed we were better off outside the European Union. As my colleague Gareth Davis has said, his constituents said the EU held them back. So we went out there. We pounded the streets with a positive message of Wales outside the European Union, taking control, as Sam Rowlands has said, of our borders, our money and our laws, free from the shackle of unelected commissioners who are accountable to no one. We on these Conservative benches, as mentioned by Mark Isherwood, look forward to a global vision for Wales, a part of a global United Kingdom, grasping those opportunities, reaching into emerging markets and using our influence for good in an ever-changing world. As has been mentioned by my colleagues, the British government has launched an incredible trade department, which has negotiated rollover deals with countries from around the world. And we secured that deal with the EU, which many of you in this chamber and wider said was not possible. And that secured billions of pounds to our economy. But do we see any praise from the politicians opposite? No, we don't. Delith Jules spoke of an opportunity lost. And let's remind ourselves, from Grenada to Guatemala, Japan to Jordan, Canada to Cameroon, global Great Britain is well and truly back, helping our businesses to export to emerging markets all over the world and growing our economy. Now it's the time for everyone, regardless of your views, to accept the result and embrace the change and the positive benefits that Brexit can bring to Wales. It's a shame that Joyce Watson is still chuntering on about this being a Tory Brexit. Well, I will remind you, Joyce, this isn't a Tory Brexit. This is what the people of Wales voted for. No, Alan Davies talks of dishonesty. No, this comes from a man that no more than half an hour ago said the Welsh Labour government were going to invest in his community and haven't. So I won't talk about dishonesty from Alan Davies. I think you need to look a bit more closer. I think you should look a bit more closer to home, Mr Davies, if you want to look at dishonesty. Welsh politicians now have wide... Oh, Alan, give it a rest. Welsh politicians now have wide-ranging new powers transferred from the EU, and I hope, which we all believed, are best decided by those elected here in Wales for the Welsh people. That is what Plaid Cymru want, so I hope you support that. From agricultural to sport to air quality, flood risk management to forestry, the Welsh Government now has an arsenal to make these regulations work for Wales and get rid of the over-bureaucratic EU red tape in order to improve our nation and the lives of the people of Wales. Politicians of all colours can no longer shy away from the difficult decisions or the policy choices. We can't blame the EU for their inactions or failings. Now we all have a responsibility for our actions and produce the results that the people of Wales want. I'd love to say I have more confidence in this government with the powers it has to improve the lives of the people of Wales, to boost employment, to grow the economy and make a Wales that works for everyone. But I don't. But I am a positive person, Llywyd, and I hope to be convinced by the government. But the proposed UBI, a tourism tax and a ban on roads makes me wonder whatever is coming next. And I will sum up, Llywyd. It's ironic, though, the Socialist Welsh Labour government, the Nationalist in Plaid Cymru, and most likely supported by the sole Lib Dem, whatever they support this week, have done their standard delete all to our motion and put forward their negative narrative about Brexit, even though most of their constituencies voted to leave. And Alan Davis, you've chunted all the way through, and your constituency voted overwhelmingly to leave. Yet again, you're quite happy to accept the result when they voted you in, but you're not happy now.
I think you did promise me
yes,
that you were bringing it to an end.
So let's make the
but then
most of this
decided to tackle Alan Davis again.
Let's build a Wales that the people of our country deserve. A global Wales, a strong and prosperous Wales, a Wales in a strong global Britain, a Wales that delivers for the people's priorities.